What is going on, people? Welcome to the #1 channel in East and Central Africa that brings you great and epic motorcycle content many have come to love. Do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you're updated whenever we post a new episode. So a lot of you have been asking about this bike for the longest time, and finally it is here. So today we are featuring the Taro GP 250. Now I know a lot of you have been searching the web about this bike, and there hasn't been too much information, and the little information that it's there, it's either in another language or it's not available anymore. Anyway, these bikes come from a company called Zhongsheng, and this specific bike has 3 variations, and they include the Taro GP 250R, the Taro GP 250 Special Edition CBS, and now we do have this Taro GP 250. In pictures they actually look the same, they don't look any different, but when it comes to the components and inside parts, that's where the difference comes in. Now in this video we had access to the Taro GP 250, which is a single cylinder and it's air cooled, but more on that later. The other 2 variants are twin cylinders with ABS, and even one has a quick shifter, but that would be very interesting to see in Kenya. But at the moment the other 2 versions are only available in the European market, which is quite unfortunate. Anyway, let's get down to what we currently have. And before we do that, I want to give a huge shout out to Nairobi Power Bikes, who are the official dealers of this bike. And if you're interested in such bike, don't hesitate to go and see them, or even you can always reach them out on Facebook and Instagram. They do have plenty of other good bikes in their lineup, and they also do sell quality gear. So back to what we were talking about. Now the Taro GP 250 is a sporty bike which carries a 249.5cc single cylinder carbureted air cooled 4-stroke engine that produces 17 horsepower and 16 Newton meters of torque. Not a high number, we'll get into that as to why that is. The bike also comes with a 6-speed transmission and has a 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in about 6 to 7 seconds, depending on how good you are at taking off and shift. Now mind you, the bike was still in stock form, was still in the early stages, so it wasn't broken into quite well, but that might affect how the bike performs. The tank capacity is 16 liters and weighs about 150 kilograms dry. It also comes with telescopic front shocks and a monoshock suspension, which is on a box type double-sided swing arm on the rear. We also get an analog rev and fuel gauge meter, while your speed, clock and mileage are all on a digital screen. And the dash is kind of big, if I'm honest. Not as big as the Apache RTR 160, but it's kind of big. The brakes are quite something, and that is not common to see in the 250cc classes of bikes. Now the bike comes with 2 front dual hydraulic operated brakes with a single hydraulic disc brake at the rear. The stock tires are accordion nylon tires with a 110 and a 150 at the front and the rear respectively. It has a very interesting chassis and frame design, kind of similar to what we see on the TNT 300 and 302S. It also comes with integrated LED daytime running lights with a central ram air duct and a tall windscreen. Well, unfortunately, I did have the B-roll clips already set up for the bike, but they're stuck in a phone that died completely and the charging system failed. I need to stop buying cheap things. Anyway, let's get on to it. Let's get down to the ergors of the bike. Now, one thing I should point out is that this bike was made with the rider's city comfort in mind. Unlike other bikes in their lineup, this one was actually the most comfortable. The chiseled fuel tank and the angular design complemented the style and how the rider fits on the bike. You feel quite one with the bike, and the seat is quite soft and accommodative to your behind and also on your nether regions, which is always a plus for me. Now the foot pegs are set on a mid-level basis despite it being a sport bike in quotes. The clip-ons are quite solid and but in general the bike is quite comfortable. Now the turning radius of the bike is quite easy to do without necessarily having to put your foot down in order to turn. Now the suspension was something that I did notice, and it was great. I did love the feel of it. Even on a bumpy road sections, it was quite fun to ride through, so hats off on that, no complaints whatsoever. The power output of the bike is not as great, it's not as fast for its class, but I can say it might be below average as compared to what other bikes in the same class can produce. For example, the TNT Benelli 250 gives out 24 horsepower, while the Taro GP gives out 17 horsepower. That's almost 7 horsepower difference. However, the Taro GP is aimed at a particular target, and we will get onto that later on. The engine isn't as vibey as you would think, unlike some other bikes out there, but then again, the bike is still new, not even broken in, so until then we can only speculate. The gearing on this bike is fairly long, meaning you can drag out the gears for quite a while and quite suitable for cruising around. Now the friction zone felt quite a bit far off, but that can be adjusted according to one's preference. Now the bike stock pipe is quite decent enough for you not to even think about replacing it. That pipe gives actually a whole new vibe to how the bike looks and how it actually adds to the aura and the sense that the bike is quite a sport bike. Now the power band seems to be available on the top end, but I guess that is what you can expect on having a long geared engine. However, I know people do love this section, and that is what did I like and not like about the bike. To be honest, some of the things I'll list here can be debatable depending on the perspective that you are approaching it from, but like always, these are all my own solid opinions. And first thing I didn't like about it was the actual fairings. I mean, they look good and all, but they looked quite delicate. I can feel the pain of imagining dropping such a beautiful bike and cracking the fairings. The dealer said they do have the stock fairings in place in case of a crash, in case of they get broken or something. They also have spare parts in case you are wondering for such. Maybe I've come to love the naked bikes so much that having a faired bike seems like such a hassle for me, but the fairings weren't doing anything for me. However, if you're a sport bike lover, then I guess this would actually be the thing that would push you to actually buy the bike. Now the next thing was the build quality. Okay, now I know I've bashed Jincheng bikes for their quality standards, which however is true, and a lot of people are coming to notice that, but honestly I felt that Taro GP really could up their game in this sector. It is not bad, but unlike other models, this one felt quite a bit off. The designs and the complex nature looks good, however it does compromise on the rigid structure of the whole bike, meaning there has to be many nuts and bolts needed to connect different fairing pieces. I'm not sure about the other versions of this bike, but hopefully with the updated versions they might have a look and actually update this on the next coming versions of the bike. Now next up were the turn signals. I even pointed this out to the dealer, and I mean, why go all out with LED headlights and taillights only to install cheap turn signals? I mean, they look good and all, but we all know they don't last that long, especially when it rains. But hey, like I said, this might be the superior quality than those we are actually being sold outside here in the streets of Nairobi. I was fortunate enough to have a friend of mine, Cyrus, the owner of Two Wheel Randoms, a great guy, and I asked him to sit on the bike and give me his price range considering all the factors he had to see and experience, and also price it according to what he had seen. And he did quite price it at around 300,000 Kenya shillings, which wasn't too far off. Now the bike actually cost 330,000 Kenya shillings from the showroom floor. And also, if you follow me on social media, I did ask you to send in some questions that you guys had and wanted to know, and I'm going to answer them right now. Now Kyle Mutanga asked if there is a difference between this bike and the Zhongsheng Rapido 250. Now for those of you who don't know which bike that is, this is the one that looks like a. And to answer your question, I'd say engine wise not so much, but when it comes to comfort and the body positioning, there's a significant difference, and that is definitely worth the extra 30,000 Kenya shilling. But overall the performance is slightly bumped up. Now Self-Made asks, why is it slightly more expensive than the other two Chinese 250cc in the market? Honestly, I think the reason might come down to how the company ships them and also the taxes that are incurred during the importation of such bikes. However, for the things that you are getting, I believe it is quite fair. Tom Orena asks, where can it be bought and what is its resale value? Now you can buy them at Nairobi Power Bikes that we have stated, and about its resale value, I don't think it is quite possible right now to quantify it, since its presence right now is still new in the market. But I do predict sort of like 30% depreciation, 30 to 40% depreciation rate, and also depending on how the bike is and the maintenance and everything. Okay, Mutuli Ole Mwangi asks about the availability of spare parts and the cost of maintenance as compared to the TNT 250. First of all, this is an air cooled, so no issues about leaking radiators or broken hose pipes. However, I would assume it to be fairly easier to maintain since you don't have a lot to always have it checked, and one thing you need to be careful are those shiny fairings. But apart from that, I think it would be a lot easier to maintain than the TNT 250. Kelvin asked about its reliability, and for this, like I said, for the guy who asked about its resale value, I really still think it's a bit too early to say about its reliability. However, if I do find someone who has owned it for quite a while, I will ask them. Kyle Mutange asks about its model. I think I had answered this earlier, and to finalize, what do I think this bike is for? Okay, so if you are a beginner and you've been bitten by the sport bike bug, then look no further. I think this is the bike for you. It is very affordable, very good looking, looks fast, and it's quite friendly. I mean, 17 horsepower is more than enough for you to get started. You will attract more eyes and how fast you will be going. Trust me, that I can assure you. Now, compared to the TNT 250, well, it would be smoked so much. I think on a drag race, the TNT 250 would win hands down. But then again, that's not its intended market. Now, the bike is intended for those who are looking to dip their toes into riding, and they do not want to start on a 150. They want to start on something a bit bigger. Now, the TNT is more of a novice rider, somehow a bit more of an experienced rider, and it does require a bit more discipline. When you compare the price and the value, I think it's almost at par. I think for the price that you're getting for the Taro GP 250, it's actually fair compared to what you can get to other bikes, and compared also to other bikes which are similar to it. So there you have it. This is a first impression ride review of the Taro GP 250. I hope you enjoyed it, and also we do have a scheduled review for the other Zhongsheng bikes. And also word around is Beth Mobility actually are calling in people to go and test ride their bikes. Hopefully, if you want me to go and have a test ride on them, do drop a like and comment down below in the comment section below. I do love reading and replying to all your comments. Now the next video will be a bit crazy, so you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe, ride safe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.